Boys and girls, Mr. Resch back with your next lesson. We're going to start 10.3 today. Here's your check-in. In 1822, what four countries would threaten to team up and help Spain gain lands that they lost in the Americas, such as Florida? Which country was not part of that alliance? There's your choices. Yesterday's question was, how much did the Erie Canal cost to build? $1 to $10 million. The answer was $7 million. What a steal. Now to daily news. Yesterday, we ended up covering 10.1, the impact of canals on the United States. We know that there were four major ones. Number one, it reduced the cost of shipping goods. Two, it brought prosperity or wealth to towns that were along the canals. It united a growing country along those canal routes, and people could live farther away from rivers, that is, farmers, and still get their goods to market. Today we start lesson 10.3, which is on unity, bringing the country together, and sectionalism, yet the differences that would drive our country apart and later to a civil war. Try to make good use of the vocabulary that we talk about today. Number one, sectionalism. Two, Missouri Compromise. Let's get to your lesson. You're going to do two things today. Number one, you're going to start, and I'm going to repeat that. You're going to start 10.3's digital notes. I'm going to show you how to do that because it's going to be a little different. Then you are going to do or start or begin 10.3's vocabulary worksheet. This will be due after the second part of the video instruction, which is the next class. Let's take a look at what you got. You're going to open up a digital document that looks like this. All right, where do you go to do that? Pretty simple. You go into your chapter 10 folder. Okay, you probably have a link to that in updates, and you're going to download a copy of it. Here's what it looks like. All right, this is different because you can't simply click on these blanks and type. I apologize for that. I don't have a digital copy, but this is a clean cut version. But what we can do is add a comment. So I can click on this and I can hit the little plus sign right here and I can add in my notes, whatever that is. Okay, but I'm not going to do that because it's going to mess that up for everybody. All right, so you can see I've done the first section for you. When it comes time to do the sectionalism section, you just click on it right here and you can see I've added a little outline for you, 3 parts that you would have to do. When you get to the next part about Missouri Compromise, you would do the same. Okay, now that you know how to do that, we can jump back into our lesson and talk about those items. So let's begin. We know that the story of unity and sectionalism begins with James Monroe. This guy, he would become the next president of the United States, number 4. James Monroe was a Democratic Republican just like Thomas Jefferson. He represented an era of good feeling. This is because we had just beaten the British for a second time, and there was immense pride in our country called nationalism. He continued a growing program for the United States, one with higher tariffs or taxes on imported goods, the use of a second national bank, and internal improvements, or using roads, canals, and bridges to strengthen our country. With the second national bank, we must understand that the first bank closed down. As a result, banks started to put money into state banks started to put too much money out there into the economy. This causes inflation or the rising of prices. So imagine Oreo cookies. You only make $2 a week, and Oreo cookies are now 50 cents per package instead of 25, but you got to have those Oreos. It's harder to live, right? So prices were raised. As a result, more workers ended up losing their jobs because people spent less, and a depression sets in. A depression is a bad economy. Moving forward. Sectionalism, what is it? Sectionalism is the difference between goals and interests in the 3 areas of the United States, North, South, and the West. The 3 different regions. Daniel Webster represented the North, up here, the moneyed interests, the banks, and the factories. This should remind you of Alexander Hamilton. The South was represented by John C. Calhoun, write his name down, slavery, agriculture, especially cotton. And in the West, we have Henry Clay. Henry Clay represented corn, wheat growers, agriculture, and would we or would we not have slavery? Okay, this is the first part video of your lesson. I have to come back and finish up. Watch part 2 after this.